it's time to finish up our lab on separating mixtures. Okay, when last we met, you had taken hot water that had benzoic acid dissolved in it and poured it into a funnel. It also had sodium or silver chloride not dissolved. Poured it into a funnel and filter paper and filtered the water and benzoic acid through, leaving the silver chloride behind. You guys then took that filter paper and silver chloride out and put it in the fume hood so that we could begin drying it. All right, so now it's time to figure out how much silver chloride we got back. All right, so we know the mass of the beaker. We know the mass of the beaker and the mixture. We know the mass of the filter paper because you have done all that. Now you're going to take your filter paper and silver chloride and you're going to find the mass and record it right here. Well, let's see. It would be helpful if I had the right page up. There we go. We're going to record it right here. Okay? Once you've done that, we're going to figure out the percent of silver chloride in the mixture. Okay? So you know the mass to your mixture. It's up here. You're going to copy that down. I'm going to just make a number up. Okay? I'm going to say 3 grams. You know the mass of the silver chloride that you got back. Let's say that you got back 0.9 grams. So to figure out the mass of the silver chloride, the percent mass, that should say percent mass, of the silver chloride in the mixture, you take the mass of silver chloride divided by the mass of the mixture and multiply that by 100. And that's going to give you percent of silver in the mixture. Okay? So we'll do that. All right, so now that we've calculated that, we need to return to our original statement, which was we needed to determine the percent of silver chloride in the mixture and then to learn and practice various lab techniques. Those were our purposes. So our percent, what we're going to do now in our lab write-up is we're going to write out the percent, just a statement. The percent of silver chloride was blank. Alright, you're just going to make a statement. And that's all we're going to worry about there. This goes into your lab notebook, not on the page, not in your packet, in your lab notebook. After you've done that, let's talk about error. Okay, what kind of error could have happened? Well, to do that, before we talk about error, let's draw these steps in so that we can see what happened. All right, for step 2, we emptied the mixture into the beaker, recorded the mass, then we added nitric acid. So we had the mixture and we added nitric acid. Okay, the nitric acid reacted with the copper and basically dissolved the copper. And we gave off some nitrogen dioxide and some other gases, but we dissolved our copper. So at this point, we have dissolved our copper. So our copper is in solution, and we're going to write it as an ion. You guys did ions over the summer, which means the copper is dissolved in the water, surrounded by water molecules. The next step then was we added water. And remember, what we had in the mixture at that point was the copper has been removed. So what's left is the benzoic acid and the silver chloride. So we added water. But what was the other thing we did with the water? Well, we heated it. So we added water and we heated it, and that dissolved the benzoic acid. So we've removed the copper, that's the blue color. We've added water, we've heated it, now we've removed the benzoic acid. So now in our beaker we have both the copper and the benzoic acid, and what's left behind at the bottom of the beaker is just the silver chloride. Okay? I think step 5 actually corresponds to what I put with step 3. Step 3 corresponds to 2. Let's not worry about it. Let's just go on to steps 8 and 9. Okay, at this point, we ran through the funnel our solution, and we got a solution down here. That solution has the benzoic acid, and it has the copper in it. And what was left behind? Our silver chloride. So, back up to the question about errors. What kind of errors could have been involved here? Well, what if you didn't heat this? If this guy didn't get heated, oh, he didn't change colors for me. Here we go. If he didn't get heated, is the benzoic acid going to dissolve? No. So when we come to this point and we pour our solution out, our funnel is going to catch not just silver chloride, but benzoic acid. That's not going to work. If we didn't add the nitric acid, copper as a metal isn't going to dissolve. It has to have the acid in there because the acid helps to pull it away, or to make it into a solution. Basically rips electrons off so it becomes positively charged. So, if you didn't add enough acid, that's one possible mistake. If you didn't heat it enough, that's really good English. Not heated. How about that instead of no heat? If you didn't heat it enough, that could cause a problem. How many of you maybe spilled? You could have spilled some of the substance. When you went to get the silver or silver chloride out, as that liquid poured out, that silver chloride, some of it stuck to the side. So if you didn't rinse it out using the wash bottle to rinse it out, you probably had some residue left over. And when you went to find the mass of the silver nitrate, did you include, or silver chloride, was that included? No, because it was in the beaker, not on the filter paper. I've had groups that didn't write down the filter paper mass before. Okay, you can't go back and mass it afterwards because it's got the silver nitrate or silver chloride on it. If you didn't wash, there's a point where it asks you to run extra water through. That is to make sure all that copper nitrate that's dissolved in the solution gets washed through and is not left on the inside of the filter paper, because as the water evaporates, that copper nitrate is going to form. Same thing with the benzoic acid. You want to wash all that through because as it cools off, it's going to come out of solution again and be a solid. So if you didn't wash all of the copper 2 nitrate off, the copper 2, or the benzoic acid, that would be another error. Okay, we've got spilling. We've got not correctly using the balance. We've got using one beaker and then switching and using a different beaker later on. There's lots of different things that could have come. So think about what kind of errors. Write me a paragraph discussing errors, and then you're done and you can turn it in. Now let's see if I can get this turned off.